Welcome to video 2. In this video, we'll talk specifically about how to write and send your email. The last presentation, we talked specifically about why you would email and how you would go about conceiving of an email with your senders and your asks and who you're sending it to. And now we're going to talk about how to actually format your email for the best results. So in writing your email, it comes down to a few key items. The first is to craft a compelling and clear subject line. So that is the line that people see in their inbox. So you want to make that as compelling and as clear as possible. So that way people see your email, that it stands out from the crowd, and that somebody who receives it would want to open it and read it. That means that you need to grab their attention quickly, whether that's the subject line or the email itself. You want to keep your copy skimmable, so as people read, they tend to skim and not read every sentence. So how do you keep your email copy formatted in a way that people can skim it, get the gist of it, and go ahead and take action the way that you've asked them to? And how to be conversational, so the tone of your email and what is most successful when it comes to that. So this is a screenshot of one of my friend's inboxes. She had stepped away from her email inbox for about 12 hours, and this is what happened to her when she returned. So what you want to do is you want to keep in mind the crowded inbox. And how are you adding value on that particular day in this particular email? You don't want to waste somebody's time, and you want to send something that they'll be glad to have opened, read, and engaged on. So how do you stand out from the crowd here, and how do you compete in the crowded inbox? And you want to do that by being clear and compelling. So how do you be clear and compelling? You want to think of your subject line as your first impression, and it really needs to convey relevancy and opportunity. And it needs to do so in about 1 to 6 words. So this can be tricky, but it's also kind of fun. So the first thing you want to do is you want to tie it into an action. So what is the action you want them to take when it comes to opening up your email? Is it that you want them to sign a petition? Do you want them to purchase an item? So you want your email's subject line to kind of tease or give an idea of that action. So that way when they open up that email, even if you're teasing a little bit, it's not something that's unexpected. So when they open up the email, you don't want it to be a surprise. You want it to make sense. And you want it, as a result, for the audience member to not feel like they've just been toyed with or manipulated. You want it to be short and descriptive. You want to show that relevancy. We spent a lot of time crafting a email segment where the email that you're sending them is relevant to them. So how can you demonstrate that? And you want it to be powerful. So is there humor you can use, excitement that you can use, sometimes fear works really well. So here are some effective subject lines that I've come across. Once I sent a membership fee for, it's called co-working in Philadelphia. It's this phenomenon where if you work from home or if you're an independent person, you can go to this place and share office space. There's one at about 3rd and Market, and it's called Independence Hall with a TS, Independence Hall. And anytime that you pay them for your membership fee, you get an email that says, "Hey, thanks." It's very nice, it's friendly, it always gets my attention. I like that one. On Black Friday Eve, Zappos once sent out an email that says, "Be the first in line every time on Zappos." So that was an opportunity based on Black Friday, getting somebody to not have to wait in line, letting them know of the competitive advantage that Zappos has over big box stores. And it really stood out and got a lot of credit. So that's an effective subject line. And you know what the action is. What do you want them to do? The audience member gets it. right then and there. And it's also, like I said, an opportune time. It shows the value. You don't have to wait in line. So I thought that was a really good synthesis of a lot of the points that we've been talking about in these presentations. And one of my favorite political subject lines of all time is there's a way that you can add personalization in a subject line in some email sends. Joe Lieberman was a senator who the liberals didn't quite like. He ran for president a couple times, kind of a centrist candidate that progressive activists didn't like as much as some other politicians. So this one was my name versus Joe Lieberman. And it was a personalization feature that you can add a value in subject line creation in some tools. And that got my attention right away because this was a candidate or a politician that I particularly didn't like or enjoy at that time. And so it was very relevant to me. It showed a lot of action, and it was cute, and I knew what it was going to be about, and also stood out against the pack there. So those are some subject lines that really put what we were talking about into focus and takes advantage of certain opportunities. You want to grab their attention quickly. And you want short paragraphs with short sentences and clear language. I'll give you two examples here. This is one email that doesn't really do that. This doesn't have short paragraphs, short sentences, clear language. And here's one that does. Very short sentences, very digestible. It's easy to take a look at this and know what is being talked about. It isn't quite an essay. It's short, it's snappy, and it's digestible. Somebody on the left would definitely begrudgingly have to read this, versus on the right, it's all bite size. And you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to comprehend it. It's very stacked, it's very boom, 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 boom. This is what you need to do, here's the link. It's really effective at doing this in short paragraphs, short sentences, and clear language. And generally what you want to do is you want to start your email off with a compelling story. And readers who trust you will want to take advantage of what you're saying right away. If you're sending them emails over time, one of the things that you can do is put a link to the action that you want them to take up further in the email, because some people are going to be with you no matter what you do. They're going to need a little bit of context, and you give them the link, and right away they're like, hey, let me take this. Some people might need some more explanation, and you'll give them more explanation and a second link. So what you're doing here is keeping this bite size, and you're giving people what they need to take action, whether they're bought in and only need a little bit of text, or that they're not as bought in and they'll need some more explanatory text. You're giving people the opportunity to take advantage of the action that you want them to take at multiple points in the email. And you want to keep your copy skimmable. I like to say you want to have 3 different distinct sections of an email. Now these can be 3 sections with links. It can be shorter than that, but generally you want to do 3 things in an email. On the right hand side I have this little triad, and it shows you kind of the readership of an email. Where you're going to get the diminishing returns on an email. A lot of people will open up your email and take a look at your first paragraph and go, okay, that's not for me, or okay, I'm in. Sometimes people will want a little bit more information, and some people, will really need to be pushed. So there are 3 different sections of an email that I like to call. The first is the statement. So what is kind of the blanket statement that you want to make on an email? You want to make that your first section, kind of what the gist is, maybe a provocative statement about what you need them to do, and then you provide them a link. Then as you go on, you have an explanation. So you've laid out these very general terms without much specifics. So the second section, you want to give an explanation. What is the proof of your statement? So you kind of explain that, and you go on to your third section, which is the stakes. And the idea there is what you want to do if they've gotten down this far with you, reading your email, they need that final push. So what happens if you don't act now is kind of the section that I like to do there. Like I said, these can be very distinct sections. They can kind of be, not necessarily as long as 3 specific sections. So I'm going to take you to the next slide where I'll show you this. So the first section on this email is kind of the first, what's the gist of it? This was an anti-Mitt Romney email that was sent out by an organization, and kind of gives, it says, this guy is unbelievable, so that's a very provocative statement. And then the next section kind of explains, it explains why this person is unbelievable, gives some quote-unquote proof, and then in the last section, it gives the stakes. Do you want someone who brags about handing out pink slips to be your next president? And then provides a link. So it kind of gives the provocative statement, it gives the explanation, and it kind of says, if you don't act now, this is what will happen. So this is a very simple format, and what you can do is, it's very short sentences. You can include a little button and links, and those can boost your action rate. Sometimes you want to give an image, but you don't necessarily want to give too many images. It doesn't necessarily seem to boost the action rate. You don't want to hold up an email for an image, so sometimes people like to say, oh, I want to make sure that I get a nice image in there. What we found over time, and a lot of people have found over time, is even if you do have an image, it doesn't really make a huge difference in terms of click-through rates. So if you ever find yourself pressed for time, you need to create an image, what I'd rather do is take advantage of an opportunity rather than hold up an email for an image. And also, you don't necessarily want fancy formatting. It can distract from links. So what you'll want to do generally is keep it simple. Don't make it too distracting. Don't make text so that it's all over the place, that there's different sizes. You don't want to have people be confused about your email, making sense out of the way that it's formatted. And so simple is always better. So the other question is, what if I just want to relay information? That's nice that you want to have emails with links, but what if I just need to send out a newsletter? This is an example of a newsletter, a piece of information that you're relaying, but it has an action. It says just share the news. Tell your friends is the ask here. So it's giving you information, but it's also allowing you to advocate on behalf of this information too. So it's not just, here's the news, don't do anything with it, keep it to yourself. It's, here's some news, it's really exciting, go ahead and tell your friends. So what you can do is you can send out an email that not only gives information that's valuable, but allows people to do something with that information, that there's an ask. It's not just read this, it's read this and do something with it. You also want to be conversational. So here's an email that I received from a new company. It's called Harry's. And it is founded by a group of people who started a company called Warby Parker, which are mail order glasses via the internet. And they're taking this business model and they're creating male grooming products to compete with an expensive place like The Art of Shaving. But it actually is really cheap, really inexpensive. It's cheaper than Gillette blades or expensive shaving cartridges. So they want to have a distinct personality, very chummy. And so this is an email that I received from them as a thanks. They say, hey, Brad Levinson, your order is on its way. Just letting you know that your Harry's order is barreling towards you at this very moment. In accordance with all interstate speed limits and fuel economy standards, of course. It's just cute. It's a way to create an affinity with a product. It's very friendly, it's very casual, and it fits with the theme of what Harry's quote-unquote is supposed to be. It's very conversational, and it's cute. And, you know, I actually look forward to receiving their emails now. Sending and analyzing. So what you've done is you've created your email, you have your senders, you have your story, you have your action, you have your links, and you've written the text. What do you do next? Before you send an email, the first thing you always want to do is proofread your emails and your links. You want to be timely, and you want to analyze and learn. Proofing your emails and your links. Always make sure before you send your email that you take a look at what you're writing. It's very easy to write a typo and make yourself look a little less than stellar. Here's one that I've sent. This was for security officers, but I didn't type security officers. I typed security officers and sent this out to tens of thousands of people. That was kind of embarrassing. So you always want to make sure before you send an email that you take a look. You know, you might want to have your friends take a look, your coworkers take a look, send it to a couple people, make sure that everybody catches something. In this case, we didn't catch it. It was a little embarrassing. Here's another one. You can see the error. This is a candidate named Jon Huntsman who ran for the GOP nomination for president last cycle. They said that they've raised X towards our goal and sent it out to everybody. It would have filled something in there, but they didn't. They kept it as X, and they sent it out to everybody. So this was a campaign that was kind of a joke in terms of it not being as successful as people thought it would be. So Jon Huntsman, unfortunately, was the butt of a lot of presidential jokes. And all this error did, raising X towards our goal, showed that there wasn't a lot of support for him and kind of furthered certain stereotypes about him, certain jokes about him, his candidacy not being so successful. And so it actually really hurt their cause. So that's another example of not, creating emails that further the goals of your campaign. In fact, this did a lot of harm to him. You also want to be timely. The best time to send an email is when the issue is hot. If people are talking about this issue, if this is a current affairs or current event, you want to send it as soon as possible. At the same time, an email is not an emergency. You don't want to send out a bad email just because it's the issue is hot. You always want to provide a quality email. So getting an email out in a couple hours is just as good as sending an email out within 15 minutes. Make sure your email is good, that it's valuable, and that you get people to do something based on what you want, the reason why you're creating the email. So don't rush an email for the sake of rushing an email. You want to plan in advance with a clear calendar and an established workflow. So, you can have an email calendar of we'll send an email out once a week. Plan ahead about what you're going to be doing each week so that your email furthers what you are doing. And you want to capitalize on something called crisopportunities. Crisopportunities is a word from The Simpsons. It's crisis and opportunity put together, but it's taken off on the internet as a term. A crisopportunity is really when an issue is hot. It's a crisis, and therefore it's an opportunity to engage your list, to engage your people, and with all these people at your disposal that you can send this blast one-way communication to, you can capitalize off of these kinds of opportunities and take advantage of them, and that helps you to be timely. And then finally, you want to analyze and learn. So there are numbers that will tell you what works and what doesn't work for your particular audience. So on the top here, I have a list of emails, and there are different types of emails that are being sent. Um, and you can see, based on the number of recipients, the sent date, the click percentage, and the open rate, how these did. So if you look at the second and the third down, there's MLK, MKH. These were emails that were sent on Martin Luther King Day. One was sent to 467,000 people. It's called a full list. And another email to a different group, so this is with list segmentation, was sent to about 2,600 people on the same day. And you can see the click-through rate and the open rate are different. An email to a full list of about 467,000 people got about 1% to click on it and about 14.5% of people to open it. Whereas something that was targeted to a specific group of people had about a 6.8% click rate and a 32.6% open rate. Your open rate will depend on your audience, and how many times you've engaged with them. So there's no real 30% open rate is good, 50% open rate is good. There's no real standard. It varies by industry, and it varies by how old your list is and how effective your list is. But generally, you'll have an average open rate, and you'll be able to see which emails are doing better or performing better than others based on your open rate. So that will let you know that your subject line was good, that people trusted your sender, that it really stood out in the inbox, the crowded inbox, and got people to open it. A click rate is really the percentage of people that clicked on a link within an email. So that'll give you an indication of did you structure your email? Did you write it well? Did you have a clear action that people clicked on and got the idea of it, that it was relevant, it resonated with them, it provided some sort of value because they clicked on it. And so those are the metrics that you would use to really assess if you did a good job or not a good job. And the other way that you can do it, if you feel like you might have had a poor email, or to judge whether your email was successful and that people found it valuable, is the picture below. It's called unsubscribe tracking. And this can work in a lot of email provider accounts that you can use, something like MailChimp. You can look and you can see how many people unsubscribed from your email list based on an email that you sent. So if your email was not so valuable, people might go, why am I on this list? I don't understand this. Why is this here? This doesn't provide value to me. Get me off of this. And you can go ahead and see which emails did that. If an email did do that, then that might have been an unsuccessful email. You might have emailed them for the wrong reason. So you want to look at these things, and you don't want to do the things that are not successful, that are getting people to unsubscribe, and you want to keep doing the things that people are opening and clicking and finding valuable. So those are two ways that you can judge the success of an email. And then how can you learn more about your lists? We talked about the click-throughs on the last slide, how many people are actually clicking. But then the real fun is in something called conversions. The landing page, the all-important landing page. When people click on your link, where do they go after they click on the link of your email or on an ad? Are they actually signing up based on it? So are they finally doing that thing that you asked them to do, whatever that is? So they're opening your email, they're clicking on it, but then do they finally go ahead and do what you've asked them to do? And that is all on a landing page. So for the next video, I'm going to talk to you about these landing pages.